I sat in my private office at Midwest Financial's headquarters, watching the morning sun glint off my nameplate. Sarah Chen. In 3 hours I would walk into our flagship branch. The same branch where 5 years ago my parents had drained my college savings account to give to my brother Mark for his sure-thing business venture. Ms. Chen, my assistant Rachel appeared at the door. Your parents just arrived at the downtown branch for their meeting with the manager. They still think it's about their mortgage refinancing. I nodded, remembering the last family dinner 2 months ago, before I'd finalized the purchase of Midwest Financial through a series of anonymous shell companies. The bank's getting stricter, Dad had complained, passing the green beans. They're asking too many questions about our refinancing application. Maybe because you're using the house to fund another one of Mark's ventures? I'd suggested quietly. Mom had bristled. Mark is building something important. He just needs support, unlike some people who only think about themselves. By some people, she meant me, the daughter who'd refused to give Mark more money after my savings were drained. The daughter who'd worked 3 jobs to put herself through business school while Mark burned through family funds chasing one failed scheme after another. Your brother's new crypto restaurant idea is revolutionary, Dad had insisted. This time next year we'll all be thanking him. What they didn't know was that I'd already reviewed their refinancing application. As the new owner of Midwest Financial, I had access to everything, including their desperate attempts to secure more funding for Mark's latest disaster. The branch manager just texted. Rachel checked her phone. Your parents are early, trying to charm the staff with homemade cookies. The same recipe they brought 5 years ago when they convinced the previous manager to let them empty my account without my signature? I finished, remembering how they'd exploited their friendship with the now-retired manager. History won't repeat itself today. I pulled up the bank's records on my tablet. In the 5 years since that day I'd built my own empire in secret. While my family thought I was working entry-level jobs, I was acquiring companies, making strategic investments, and eventually purchasing the very bank that had enabled their betrayal. Your brother called the branch again, Rachel added. He's trying to get information about the new ownership. Apparently he's hoping to pitch his crypto restaurant idea directly to the board. I laughed softly. The board that now answered to me. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Meeting with bank at 10. They'll understand once we explain about Mark's business. He just needs one more chance. One more chance. That's what they'd said when they took my savings. When they mortgaged their house the first time. The second time. Each time Mark's revolutionary ideas collapsed, taking family money with them. The branch employees are ready, Rachel reported. Everyone knows their role for the announcement. Though most still think you're just the representative of the new owner. Only a handful of top executives knew I was the actual buyer. The rest would find out today along with my parents. I checked my reflection in the window. At 32 I looked younger than most bank owners, but my presence commanded respect from everyone who knew my true position. Everyone except my family, who still treated me like the naive daughter who'd trusted them with her savings. Mark's latest pitch document arrived. Rachel held up a folder. He's requesting a $2 million small business loan. I opened the folder, scanning his grandiose predictions and impossible promises. The same empty dreams he'd been selling for years, each time with a higher price tag. Add it to my presentation materials, I told her. Right next to the records from 5 years ago. The clock showed 9:30. In 30 minutes, I would walk into that branch and show my family exactly what their selfish daughter had become while they were busy funding Mark's failures. It's time to head down, Rachel announced. Your car's ready. I stood, straightening my designer suit, worth more than all the money they'd taken from my account. Time to show them what happens when you underestimate the wrong daughter. Through the bank's security cameras, I watched my parents sit in the branch manager's office, Mom arranging her cookie platter while Dad adjusted his tie. They looked older than they had 5 years ago, worn down by Mark's constant demands for money. The new owner is very particular about protocol, branch manager James Taylor was saying, carefully avoiding pronouns. All loans must go through proper channels. But we've been customers for 30 years, Dad protested. Surely that counts for something? I smiled, remembering similar words from 5 years ago. We're practically family, they'd told the previous manager while signing away my future. Speaking of family, Mom added, pulling out a glossy brochure. Our son has an amazing business opportunity. If we could just present it to the owner. Actually, James checked his watch. The owner will be here shortly for a special announcement. My parents perked up. They thought this was their chance to pitch Mark's latest scheme. Through another camera, I saw Mark himself skulking in the bank lobby, trying to look inconspicuous in his wrinkled suit. He'd shown up uninvited, probably hoping to charm the mysterious new owner in person. Your brother's here, Rachel murmured as we pulled up to the bank. Right on schedule, I replied. Mark never could resist what he thought was an opportunity. Inside, employees were gathering for the announcement. Many held copies of the new bank policies I'd designed to prevent exactly what had happened to me. Mom and Dad are trying to get Mark into the manager's office, Rachel reported, checking her phone. James is stalling them. I straightened my CEO badge and checked the folder in my hand. Inside were 3 documents. My original account statements showing the unauthorized withdrawal, Mark's history of failed business loans, and their current refinancing application with its many creative interpretations of the truth. Everyone's assembled, James texted. Ready when you are. I took a deep breath and nodded to Rachel. She entered the bank first, directing security to lock the doors. No one would leave until this was finished. Ladies and gentlemen, James's voice carried through the bank. Today marks a historic moment for Midwest Financial. Please welcome the representative of our new ownership. I waited in the doorway watching Mom try to push Mark forward, thinking this was his chance to pitch. Under our new leadership, James continued, this bank will focus on protecting all its customers, especially those who cannot protect themselves. Mom beamed, probably thinking he meant helping Mark. Dad was already reaching for his pitch materials. And now, James's voice took on a different tone. It is my honor to introduce not just a representative, but the actual owner of Midwest Financial. The youngest bank owner in the state. I stepped into view, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Please welcome our new CEO and sole proprietor, Ms. Sarah Chen. The cookie platter crashed to the floor. Dad's pitch materials scattered across the desk. And Mark, halfway through his practiced smile, turned the color of old milk. Standing at the front of my bank looking at my family's shocked faces, I smiled. Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about unauthorized account access, shall we? First, I began, my voice echoing through the silent bank lobby. Let's discuss Midwest Financial's new policies on family-related transactions. I opened my folder, enjoying how Mark squirmed in his seat. Specifically, our zero-tolerance approach to unauthorized account access. Mom's hands trembled. Dad seemed fascinated by his shoes. 5 years ago, I continued, projecting documents onto the wall screen, a college savings account was emptied without the account holder's consent. The amount was $47,832.16. I paused, letting the number hang in the air. My number, to be exact. Several employees gasped. They'd all been briefed on this case study, but hadn't known it was their new boss's story. The funds, I clicked to the next slide, were transferred to a business venture called Mark's Miracle Meals, a temperature-sensitive food delivery service that lasted exactly 3 months before bankruptcy. Mark slumped lower in his chair as his failed business history appeared on screen. Following that, I continued, we have Mark's Digital Dining, 8 months, total loss. Mark's Meal Metaverse, 4 months, complete failure. And now, I picked up his latest proposal. We have Crypto Kitchen, a blockchain-based restaurant that, according to this document, will revolutionize the future of eating. It's a solid business plan, Mark protested weakly. Really? I raised an eyebrow. Because our analysis department flagged 12 major regulatory violations in the first page alone. Mom stood up, hands clasped pleadingly. Sarah, honey, if you just look at the potential. Like the potential you saw when you took my money? I cut her off. Or the potential of all those second mortgages you took out to fund Mark's failures. Dad finally spoke. We were trying to help your brother succeed. By stealing from your daughter? I pulled up their refinancing application. Or by lying on bank documents. Because this application contains some very creative interpretations of your financial situation. They paled. Submitting false information on a loan application was serious. But today isn't about punishment, I said, softening my tone slightly. It's about correction. First, I turned to my parents. Your refinancing application is denied. No more using your house to fund Mark's schemes. But Mark started to protest. Second, I continued over him, all future loan applications from Mark Chen or any business associated with him are automatically denied. Permanently. Mom burst into tears. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Finally, I clicked to the last slide showing a new account statement. I've created a trust to pay off your existing mortgage. Not for you, I clarified as hope flickered across their faces, but because I don't want my nieces and nephews homeless when their father's next sure thing fails. Mark flushed red. You can't do this. Actually, I can. And I have. I smiled. I own this bank. Every policy, every decision, every denial, it all goes through me. We were trying to help the family, Mom whispered. No, I corrected her. You were enabling Mark at everyone else's expense. That stops today. I turned to address the whole bank. Let this be a lesson in financial responsibility. No one, not even family, has the right to access your money without consent. Our new policies ensure that never happens at Midwest Financial. As security began escorting my family out, Dad turned back. Sir, we're sorry. We thought. You thought Mark's future was worth more than mine, I finished. But look around, Dad. Look who ended up owning the bank. After they left, James approached with the day's reports. The trust is set up as requested. The house will be protected, but they can't access the equity. I nodded, watching through the window as my family huddled on the sidewalk. Mark was already gesturing animatedly, probably pitching his next brilliant idea. Should we be concerned about retaliation? James asked carefully. No, I smiled, remembering something. They never read the fine print of their new account agreements. The ones I designed personally. I turned back to my desk. They can't even switch banks without my approval now. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving them wrong. It's making sure they can never do it again. Later that evening, I sat in my office, looking at an old photo from my college graduation. Back then, I'd trusted my family with my future. They'd betrayed that trust for Mark's dreams. Now I controlled their financial future. Every transaction, every application, every desperate attempt to fund Mark's schemes would cross my desk. My phone buzzed, a text from Mark. Sis, I've got an amazing new idea. Just hear me out. I blocked his number and turned back to my work. I had a bank to run, and unlike some people's business ventures, mine was actually succeeding.